This year, I've made it a goal of mine to try to get my work into as many shows and galleries as possible. And in doing so, I think I've learned some useful tips about how to respond to calls for artists that I'd like to share with y'all. First of all, obviously, you want to print out any information regarding the call. And then you want to go through it line by line, sentence by sentence, word by word, and make sure that you don't disqualify yourself from being in the show by doing something that the gallery has specifically asked you not to, or by not doing something that they definitely want you to do. The first thing you want to look at is the deadline for entry. Can you meet that deadline? Is it realistic? What you don't want to do is throw some piece of art together that you know is not the quality that you're capable of just to meet a deadline to respond to a call for entry. Chances are, if it's a reputable gallery, that show will be repeated annually. Keep it in mind and give yourself time to actually create the piece of art you know you're capable of producing well in advance of the deadline. The second thing is to make sure that the parameters of the show match your medium of choice. It sounds pretty simple, but from what I've heard, people make this mistake all the time. They will enter a lino cut print into a photography show, or they'll enter an oil painting into a watercolor show. It's really, really important here again to read the rules of the call for entry so that you know that your medium is welcome and that you have a good shot of being juried into the show. If the show has a specific theme, does that theme match your artistic vision or passion? Let's say that you see a call for entry for a show celebrating the cowboys of the American West. If you've never painted a horse or a cowboy, or you really have no interest in that lifestyle, it's going to be pretty obvious to the judges that your art is not genuine. You want to create your art around a topic that inspires you. Submit your art the exact way that the gallery requests it. Check to see if they have certain color requirements for frames. I've applied to several shows where the only frame colors acceptable were either black, white, or natural wood. Read their directions as to how those frames have to be wired for exhibition. This usually entails D-rings and actual picture hanging wire. Those little sawtooth hangers that come free with retail frames are never acceptable in most galleries. Another big question, does the gallery require glass or plexiglass? Glass is a lot more precarious to ship. There's more chances of it breaking. There's chances of it hurting people when the box is opened. Most galleries prefer plexiglass. And for the artist, that's actually a win because plexiglass weighs less than glass, which makes your shipping costs less. Should you attach a label to the back of your art, or is that something the gallery's going to do? Are they going to provide a label that has your name, the title, the medium? All of this information is in the call for entry, so read it. Ship your art according to gallery instructions. I'm not talking about framing your art. I'm talking about actually shipping your art. And that usually means the gallery doesn't want peanuts. It typically means your package must be sturdy enough to use to ship back. And obviously, you want to use sufficient padding that the art gets there safely. Once you've submitted your art, wait for the gallery to contact you to tell you whether or not it's been accepted into the show. Do not contact the venue until after the notification timeline that's clearly stated in the call for entry. Even at that point, only contact them if you're absolutely certain you received no response. I did make the mistake once of contacting a gallery to ask if I had been accepted. As it turned out, they had sent me an email and it was in my spam. So make sure they have not contacted you and you just don't know it. Perhaps the most important advice I can offer is consider all of your potential expenses before answering a call for entry. This is not a cheap process. Firstly, there's a fee to submit, and it's non refundable. So, whether you're accepted or not, that submission fee has to be paid. Then there are the costs of materials to produce the art, which we all know are getting higher every day. If the art needs to be framed, that can cost hundreds of dollars. As I mentioned previously, you must pay shipping to and from the gallery if the piece doesn't sell. This cost will get more expensive the larger your art is and the farther away you ship it. You may also need additional insurance. Most shippers' websites can help you estimate these costs. Ideally, after all the work and expense, your art will be accepted for the call for entry. If it is, don't be afraid to tell people. The more folks that turn up for the show, the better it is for everyone. More visitors means a higher chance that your artwork and your fellow artists' artwork will sell. More people, whether they buy or not, will see your art. And the gallery will be more likely to repeat the call, repeat the show annually, and maybe even invest more in promotion and prizes the following year. Finally, whether or not to respond to calls for entry is a personal, financial, and artistic decision. I really hope this information provides a good reference to help you make that decision. Until next time, be well, be happy, and be kind, especially to yourself.